How is it going, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. For those of you that are new here, my name is Ethan Bridge and I'm host of the Social Media Marketing School podcast and the guy behind the Instagram page at The Marketing Ethan. Now today I want to talk a little bit about becoming an expert in the niche that you are creating content for. And I want to preface the episode by saying something. To be an expert in a niche, you do not have to be the best or one of the best. To be an expert, all you need to be is more knowledgeable than the people that you are actually teaching. Because if you can always provide information to those that follow you, always improve the knowledge of those people that follow you, then they're always going to be able to look at you as an expert. But if you aren't able to do that, then obviously you can't be one. But obviously, as you grow, as you continue to create, as you share more information, your perception of being an expert is going to increase because people will find you at a point where you may have been posting content for 6 or 7 months and see that you've already created so much content on that niche that they instantly see you as an expert. But you may see people following you from day one. As long as you know more than that person, to them, you are an expert. But in today's episode of Social Media Marketing School, I want to just talk a little bit about keeping on top of that expert status. How can you consistently stay an expert? How can you quickly become an expert in the niche that you create content for? Because from my personal experience, it's not as hard as you may think. The best way to become an expert in your niche is to create content on that topic. Let me tell you a little bit of a backstory on how I began to create content with regards to social media marketing, building a brand and being able to leverage that brand to grow your business. So I used to have an older podcast called CEO Journals that I started almost 2 years ago now. And on that podcast, I used to interview entrepreneurs about their journeys, the mistakes they've made, how they've got to the point in which they're at today. Now, I became obsessed with how I could grow that podcast, the marketing tactics that I could implement to grow that podcast, to get better guests, to entice people to listen. So obviously I got into the video side of things. I got into the YouTube, I got into the Instagram, I got into all of these different ways of social media marketing. And that's when I realized what I really enjoyed creating content on, what I really enjoyed learning about was the social media marketing side of things and actually growing a brand. And that's when I transitioned. I realized I almost used that first podcast as a stepping stone. I built connections with some amazing people. I learned an incredible amount of knowledge from the people that I interviewed, and it made me realize what I truly enjoyed doing. And that's when I realized, right, I now need to begin growing my own personal brand and building a business off of the side of that. And because I realized that I love the social media marketing side of things and building brands and leveraging those brands, that's what I began creating content on. Obviously, at first it was a big shift, and by no means was I one of the most educated within that space. But obviously I'd tried to do it in the past and I'd done it with my own brand, and therefore I had some knowledge to do so. So I began creating content on it. And the best way I found to learn about that niche was to create content about that niche. When you create a piece of content about a certain topic, it forces you to have a complete understanding about the topic that you are teaching. You have to learn in great detail so that you can convey it to your audience through a piece of content in the best possible way, in the simplest way to understand while still getting the highest quality message across. And to do that, obviously, you need to learn it in great detail. But because you learn it in great detail, it forces you to learn it far better than if you were to just read a book and then put a book down. I've read a lot of books about marketing, but the things and the lessons that really stick in my mind are the ones that I end up creating pieces of content on because it forces me to remember it. Because if I'm going to teach it and I'm going to get questions on it, I need to know it inside out. So by doing so, I'm increasing my knowledge. So my number one tip, if you want to become an expert in a niche, if you want to increase your knowledge on a certain topic, create content about it, because it forces you to learn about that topic in such great detail, because you have to be able to convey that message in a way that's easily consumable by those that follow you. And then when it comes to actually growing a brand, it almost works in a cycle. You are somebody who creates content on a certain niche, and to be considered an expert by your audience, you just need to know more than those that you are teaching. So to do that, you continue to create content on that topic. But at the same time, creating content on that topic is going to grow your audience on the platform that you are posting this content on. When you grow an audience on these platforms, that is establishing trust and authority with those that follow you, because they think, oh, this person's got social proof, a lot of people follow them for this advice, and therefore they must know what they're talking about. And when you've built that trust and authority, that's when you're perceived as that expert. And then it works in a cycle again. You continue to create content, you continue to build your audience, you continue to build trust and authority, and therefore people perceive you as an expert. But then you create more content, and it goes on and on and on and on. You stay ahead of those that originally follow you because you're continuing to learn and create content and share any mistakes that you've made, share lessons on your journey, you name it. But those that stumble across your page further down the line, they're going to instantly look at your page. They're going to see that you've posted 200, 300 posts on a specific topic. You've gained an audience, and therefore people trust and engage with you. They're going to see you as an expert almost instantly because you've got this whole bank of content about this one specific topic that you're teaching, and they can go back to the very beginning and learn from day one. This podcast, for example, this is going to be episode, I believe, 124. If you are just stumbling across this podcast right now, you've got 124 episodes to listen to, and you're probably thinking, right, this guy knows what he's talking about. He's created 124 podcast episodes about social media marketing. Therefore, I should trust what he listens to. But if you were discovering this podcast 1 or 2 episodes in, you probably would not have been thinking the same. You might have been thinking, I'll give it a listen. It might be worth it, might not be. But the fact I've now created 124 episodes and have a solid listener base and a solid following on Instagram where I also teach social media marketing, people perceive me differently because I have got that trust and authority built through the fact that my content has become social proof for the topic that I teach. But if I hadn't created all of this content, I doubt I would know nearly as much as I do now with regards to social media marketing. Having this podcast, having to post 3 episodes a week, having to post daily content on Instagram forces me to continue to learn about social media marketing so that I've always got something to teach to my audience. I always need to be one step ahead because if I'm not, people will overtake me. So I'm always looking and reading and consuming content so that I can then learn about specific topics. I then implement them into my own strategy, my own business, and therefore I encounter mistakes, I encounter lessons, I learn new things that I can then teach to others, which helps build my brand, which helps build the social proof, which helps grow my perception as an expert in the niche. And that's what you need to be doing. So when it comes down to it, if you want to become an expert in your niche, start creating content about that topic. Dive right in at the deep end. Go, right, today I want to post a piece of content about how to do this. But if you want to post a piece of content about that, you need to learn about it yourself first. So that forces you to go out and learn it. You can then break it down, make it into a piece of content and post it. And now you've got the ball rolling. And you continue to do that over and over again. And over an extended period of time, you would have produced 200, 300, 400 posts, however long you may be posting for. And just think how much knowledge you've had to consume to enable you to produce that amount of content. An absolute ton. And now you have a really solid knowledge base on the topic that you create content for because you forced yourself to learn about it to be able to create content on it yourself. So that's the quickest way to becoming an expert in the niche you create content for. And that wraps up today's video. If you did enjoy, I would really appreciate if you hit that subscribe button, hit that like button, and turned on post notifications. That way you will never miss a video when I post one. But I did just want to mention that this is a part of my podcast series, Social Media Marketing School, and the audio version of the podcast is the place to be because I release this content a lot sooner over there than I do here on YouTube. So I will leave some links in the description below. Head down there and make sure you are subscribing. But if you've got any questions with regards to anything that I've mentioned, please just reach out to me on Instagram at @themarketingethan, send me a DM and I'll make sure I get back to you no matter what. But if you have made it to this point in the video, I just want to finish off by saying thank you for tuning in, and I will see you in the next one.